I never believed in the supernatural until the night I found the old, dusty journal hidden in the attic. Its pages whispered secrets that should have remained buried, and as I read, I felt a presence lurking just beyond the shadows of my home, and the only sound is the relentless patter of raindrops against the window. I paused, my heart racing. The attic had always been a place of mystery, filled with forgotten relics of the past. I brushed it off as the house settling, but the sound came again, a deliberate thump, as if something or someone was moving around up there. Inside, I found the journal, its leather cover cracked and worn. The pages were yellowed, filled with spidery handwriting that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. Every creak of the house echoed in my mind, and I could swear I heard whispers just beyond the walls. I pulled the covers tighter around me, trying to convince myself it was just my imagination. But then, I heard it again, a soft thud, followed by a faint scratching sound, like nails dragging across wood. As I flipped through, I realized it belonged to a girl named Clara, who had lived in this house decades ago. Straining to listen, I felt a presence behind me, cold and suffocating. I turned slowly, and there it was, shadowy figure, indistinct, yet undeniably there, watching me with hollow eyes. I stumbled back, my breath hitched. The sound was coming from the attic. I grabbed my phone. I heard it, a soft giggle, echoing through the attic. It was a child's laugh, innocent yet laced with something sinister. Panic surged through me, and I bolted for the door, but it slammed shut before I could reach it. I pounded on the wood, desperation clawing at my throat. "Let me out," I screamed. As I climbed the stairs, the air grew heavier, but the laughter only grew louder, filling the space with a chilling melody. The dim light illuminating the room, and mustered the courage to investigate once more. I remembered the journal. I rushed back to the trunk. "It's waiting for me," I whispered, flipping through the pages frantically, until I found Clara's last entry. Realizing with horror that whatever had tormented her was now in the room with me, thick with an oppressive silence that made my skin crawl. Her entries were filled with mundane details of school, friends, and family until they took a darker turn. I opened the door slowly. I scanned the room, but it was empty save for the trunk and the journal, the hinges creaking in protest, and stepped inside. The light flickered, casting erratic shadows that danced across the walls. I was alone, my parents away for the weekend, leaving me to fend for myself in our creaky old house. I felt a cold breath on the back of my neck. I froze, my heart pounding in my ears. The temperature dropped suddenly, and I could see my breath misting in the air. I spun around, but there was nothing there, only the oppressive darkness that seemed to close in around me. The air grew colder with each step, and I could feel a chill creeping up my spine. I flicked on the light, revealing a cluttered space filled with old furniture, boxes, and dust motes swirling in the dim glow. The last entry sent a shiver down my spine. I can hear it breathing. It's waiting for me. I felt a cold draft sweep through the attic, and the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. I quickly closed the journal, but the unease lingered, wrapping around me like a suffocating fog. My eyes were drawn to a small, weathered trunk in the corner, its lock rusted and broken. The air was heavy with the scent of damp wood and mildew, and the flickering light from the single bulb in the living room cast long, dancing shadows that seemed to stretch and twist with a life of their own. It all began on a rainy evening, the kind where the world outside is swallowed by a thick fog. As I settled onto the couch with a book, I heard a soft thud from the attic above. Curiosity gnawed at me, and I reluctantly climbed the narrow staircase to the attic. I knelt beside it, heart pounding, and pried it open. Clara wrote about strange noises at night, shadows that moved on their own, and a feeling of being watched. That night, I tried to shake off the feeling of dread as I crawled into bed, but sleep eluded me. My heart raced as I sat up. I reached the attic door and hesitated, my hand hovering over the knob. The scratching had stopped, replaced by an eerie stillness. Just as I turned to leave, then, in a moment of sheer terror, the laughter stopped abruptly, replaced by a heavy silence.